Hello. Thank you so much to our incredible Deputy Premier Mike Ellis, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2026 UCP Calgary Leaders Dinner. You probably looked around and seen that we have more than 2,000 people here tonight, making this the largest Leaders Dinner in UCP history, and the energy reaches far beyond this room, so thank you all for being here. Yeah. And it is great to be here in Calgary at the BMO Centre in Stampede Park. This is a place where the city has gathered for more than a century for moments that shaped its history. From the very first Calgary Stampede in 1912 to the 1988 Winter Olympics to the Flames' unforgettable 1989 run. And of course, it was right here in 2023 when we celebrated winning our second united Conservative majority government. These grounds have long been at the center of Alberta's biggest moments, and today they're at the center of another new chapter for Calgary. Just beyond us, the new event center and entertainment district is taking shape, supported by our government. Massive steel beams now rise across the Arena Bowl. New restaurants, hotels, and public spaces are well underway, and construction continues on the 6th Street underpass to keep this city moving. Also, our UCP government has worked to create these conditions for success here in Calgary and across the province, and that work has been made possible by the dedicated people that keep our party and movement strong. And that, of course, includes our grassroots volunteers and local constituency associations who contribute countless hours to get us ready for the next election. It includes our UCP staff, who under the leadership of Executive Director Dustin Van Voot and our UCP Board of Directors work tirelessly behind the scenes to organize events like tonight's dinner. And of course, it includes our generous donors who in 2025 helped us raise $10 million, more than any political party during a non-election year in Alberta history. Incredible. And speaking of incredible, it also includes our incredible team of UCP MLAs who fight every single day for this city and its people. Let me name them off. Mike Ellis, Rick McIver, Mickey Amory, Tanya Fear, Demetrios Nicolaides, Rajan Sani, Miles McDougall, Mohammed Yassin, Peter Singh, Eric Bouchard, Matt Jones, and our former MLA for Calgary Shaw, I understand is here tonight, Rebecca Schultz. Of course, we'll be having a by-election there very soon, and we're calling on all of you to help to keep that seat blue. But please do give our Calgary MLAs and our entire UCP team a huge round of applause for all the incredible work that they do. Now, I am happy to have the opportunity to address you all directly so that we can discuss some of the most important challenges and opportunities facing our province today. And of course, the upcoming fall referendum is at the top of that list, and I promise you, we will get into that. But first, I want to talk a little bit about where the province is today. Alberta is growing because people believe in this province. Alberta is the place to be. In a country that has just fallen into recession, Alberta has not. We are growing and thriving, and we are once again proving to the world that strong fiscal management, low taxes and less red tape and more personal freedom will create prosperity and opportunity in the midst of a geopolitical storm. We are leading the nation in economic growth, in job creation, average weekly earnings, and housing starts. And at the same time, Albertans are keeping more of what they earn as we continue to offer the lowest overall taxes in Canada, no provincial sales tax, no payroll tax, no healthcare premiums, and a newly lowered personal income tax rate, saving every single working Albertan up to $750 per year. Yeah. We're also leading the nation in private sector investment, and you don't have to look very far to find evidence of that. WestJet, CAE, Lufthansa Technik, and de Havilland are building out our aviation sector right here. Amazon, Walmart, Coca-Cola are making major investments in logistics and distribution centers. And Rocky View County has approved the next phase of the Prairie Economic Gateway, partnering with Calgary and paving the way for a major rail-served inland port. These projects alone will create thousands of new jobs and put Alberta on the map for global investors. Our government is delivering real economic results, but you know what? We're not stopping there. With all of these incredible business opportunities in Alberta, we're also investing in the places and experiences that make this province and city among the best in the world. This includes funding to transform the Arts Commons, revitalize Olympic Plaza, and support major cultural institutions like the Glenbow Museum and Contemporary Calgary. Yeah. And this is important because tourism is becoming a major economic driver in our province. Alberta's tourism sector shattered previous records, generating an historic $15.2 billion in visitor spending in 2025. In fact, visitor spending in Calgary hit a record $3.3 billion in 2025, outperforming many major cities across the country. But tourism, of course, as you know, doesn't stop at the city limits. Calgary is the gateway to Kananaskis country and the Canadian Rockies. And through our all-new, all-season resort strategy, we are going to be creating more opportunities for visitors to experience the best of Alberta year-round. You see, Alberta is seeing a lot of success right now. Oh yeah, and it sure is. But of course, we know some of that success has brought challenges. In the last 5 years, Alberta's population has grown by 600,000 people. That's like adding a city half the size of Calgary. And that's why I'm seeking a mandate for Alberta to take more control over our immigration system. And I'll have more to say about that in a few minutes. Because when hundreds of thousands of people arrive in such a short period of time, you feel the pressure everywhere. And this is why we're taking action. It's why we're investing to ensure that our healthcare system is there for patients and families when and where they need it. Across Calgary, we're making significant investments at the Peter Lougheed Centre, Rocky View General Hospital, Foothills Medical Centre, Alberta Children's Hospital and South Health Campus, and of course, the new state-of-the-art Arthur J. E. Child Comprehensive Cancer Care System, ensuring as well that our healthcare system can perform more surgeries and treat more patients. And at the same time, as you know, Alberta is undergoing the largest continuing care expansion in the province's history, with our government investing billions of dollars over the next decade to build new continuing care spaces. And it's not just healthcare facilities we're building in this city. Alberta has made major investments to improve how people move around, completing projects like the Ring Road, the Green Line, and my personal favorite, the massive Deerfoot Trail upgrade, which will also shape Calgary's long-term growth and keep the city moving faster. Yeah. When it comes to education, our government is making the largest investment in school construction in Alberta's history, with more than $8.6 billion supporting school projects, including 161 new and ongoing school projects across the province, of which 45 are right here in Calgary. We've also launched 476 classroom complexity teams, each made up of a teacher and 2 education assistants, to provide additional supports for students and teachers in the classrooms that need them the most. And we continue to strengthen school choice in our province so parents can choose the best option for their kids, because unlike the NDP, we believe that parents are the primary decision makers for their children. Yep. And all of this matters, but government has no higher duty than keeping people and communities safe. And we take that responsibility seriously. We're investing in additional frontline police officers, strengthening efforts to combat organized crime, and expanding the ankle monitoring program for high-risk offenders. And these efforts are getting results. StatsCan shows Alberta's crime severity index has declined by 8.8%, more than double the national decrease. And at the same time, we're taking a recovery-focused approach to addiction, expanding treatment options and opening 11 recovery communities across Alberta, including one right here in Calgary. And of course, we've rejected the so-called safe supply of dangerous drugs, and we're shutting down the Sheldon Schumer drug consumption site here in Calgary. Yeah. Because instead, we're prioritizing recovery and treatment to ensure our most vulnerable get the support they need to regain control over their lives. But government really does a lot more than just building things and spending money. We were elected to make a difference, to defend conservative values, and to stand up for families. And that's why we passed the Peterson Law to protect the free speech of our academics and professionals. And it's why this spring we passed Bill 25, the act to remove politics and ideology from classrooms. Because I think you'll agree with me, our classrooms should not be woke echo chambers where some activist teachers impose their personal political opinions on their students. They should be places of learning where children are taught how to think, not what to think, and where diverse viewpoints are presented fairly and without bias. Yeah. And we certainly shouldn't have explicit and pornographic books in school libraries, so we got rid of that too. And we passed legislation to ensure that medical assistance in dying is reserved for those suffering from a terminal condition and is never proposed to children or someone who is struggling with their mental health. Yeah. Now, we also passed legislation as well to ensure that children do not undergo medical, hormonal, or surgical interventions to change their gender, to protect women and girls in sport, and to ensure that parents always know what's going on with their kids, because protecting children is a value that we should never apologize for. Yeah. Now, those are just some of the things we've been working on, but I know that many of you probably have questions about the issues dominating the headlines today, especially the October 19th referendum. And I've always been clear that I believe in a strong and sovereign Alberta within a united Canada. That is the position, that is the position of our party, our caucus, and our government. However, when it comes to the question of Alberta's future in Canada, I've encountered 4 different perspectives over the last number of weeks. First, of course, there are those who are asking, why are we having a vote on Alberta separation at all? And the answer to that is simple. We believe that when an issue is important to Albertans, they should have a way of putting those ideas forward. That's why our province has a law in place that allows Albertans to initiate a province-wide referendum if they get enough signatures. And 700,000 Albertans signed one of 2 petitions on the question of whether to leave Canada or whether to remain in Canada. Ignoring the law and kicking the can down the road would only prolong a very emotional debate. And we just simply can't muzzle the voices of our fellow Albertans. And that's why our government added the following question to the referendum. Should Alberta remain a province in Canada, or should the Government of Canada commence the legal process required under the Canadian Constitution to hold a binding provincial referendum on whether or not Alberta should separate from Canada? Now, of course, the second group of Albertans that I speak to are those who want to remain in Canada. And that is option 1 on the ballot. And that's the one I'll be voting for. And I'll tell you some of the, I'll tell you some of the main reasons why I feel that way in just a minute, and why I hope you will vote that way as well. But there's a third group of Albertans, and they are those who want to leave. And there's an option on the ballot to begin the legal process to hold a binding referendum on that. The fourth group are those who are frustrated with the status quo, and they want to send a message to Ottawa, and I can tell you, I share your frustration, but I would suggest that there is a better way to do that. I understand that many Albertans are incredibly frustrated after 10 years of destructive economic policies under the federal Liberal NDP coalition led by Justin Trudeau. Tens of thousands of Albertans suffered under those policies. Livelihoods were destroyed. Opportunities were lost. Our core industries were targeted. And the people who built this province were treated with contempt. It was a dark time for our province and our country. And what did Albertans do? We fought for our province. We fought for our country. We were, in fact, relentless in making our voices heard, launching dozens of legal challenges, appearing in hundreds of national interviews, running extensive advertising campaigns, and bridge building with the other premiers, and aggressively passing legislation, such as the Alberta Sovereignty Within a United Canada Act, to take back our provincial autonomy from the federal government. Hundreds of thousands of Albertans joined us in that fight, calling friends and relatives and posting on social media to spread that message throughout the country. We refused to give in to the attacks on our province. And the result? Well, my friends, we started to win. Over the last couple of years, the tide of national public opinion on resource development, provincial rights, energy policy, and a host of other issues began to turn. Our Alberta oil sands went from a national target to a national treasure. Pipelines went from impossible to a national imperative. Justin Trudeau's anti-Alberta, anti-energy policies became a national embarrassment, one of several that ultimately cost him his prime ministership. And the Leave It in the Ground NDP, they were electorally annihilated. And not only did Alberta's dear friend and great advocate Pierre Poilievre and his federal Conservative MPs take up our cause as powerfully as any federal politicians in our history, but together we did such a great job advancing Alberta's position on energy that the federal Liberals finally adopted most of our positions on energy and resource development. Truly. In fact, the current Prime Minister, Mark Carney, has worked constructively with our government to craft an Alberta-Ottawa Energy Agreement, or MOU as it's often called, and this agreement has already attracted tens of billions in investment for new pipelines, natural gas-run data centers, electricity generation, and so much more. Now, I know some of you get a bit queasy when I start complimenting the efforts of a Liberal Prime Minister. But my friends, why wouldn't we celebrate a resounding victory when we now have Canada's two dominant governing parties, representing 85% of the voting public, both supporting the Alberta energy agenda, right? It's only the fringe voices of the NDP and the Bloc and the Greens, representing a mere 15% of Canada's voters, who want to leave our world-class energy reserves in the ground. We should celebrate when we have convinced our fellow citizens to change their views and be on our side. That is what true Conservatives do. We change hearts and minds with logic and courage and conviction. And let's take a moment to talk just a bit more about the importance of this Alberta-Ottawa Energy Agreement and its profound importance to the future of our province and our country. The oil and gas emissions cap is gone under this agreement. And that means instead of phasing out the oil sands, we can now double our oil and gas production and generate hundreds of billions in wealth and hundreds of thousands of jobs. In addition, under this agreement, the dangerous net zero electricity regulations, gone. The greenwashing provisions, gone. The oil export tax threats, gone. Federal interference and approvals for projects within the boundaries of our province, gone. The electric vehicle mandate, gone. And it needs to be said again, Stephen McGeebo is gone. And with our recent agreement to greatly reduce federal carbon pricing from the Trudeau-Guilbeault plan, industry now has the time and the certainty needed to plan and invest and deliver real emissions-reducing projects without undermining competitiveness. And of course, this agreement sets out a path towards construction of a new 1 million barrel per day West Coast pipeline, with construction starting as early as September 1st of 2027. So I like to say that while the best time to build new pipelines was a decade ago, the second best time is right now. Absolutely. And even though a Pierre Poilievre government would certainly build pipelines and spur investment even faster, there can be no doubt that our province is in an infinitely better position today than we were just 18 months ago. We will now build new pipelines west, east, north, and south without delay and without hesitation to supply Asian and European and American markets with safe and reliable and responsibly produced Alberta energy. And since our MOU has been signed, we have seen new projects They've been announced and they're barreling ahead. Not just the West Coast Oil Pipeline project, but also Enbridge, Trans Mountain, South Bow, Pembina, and ATCO are all advancing expansions and new projects representing hundreds of billions of dollars of investment in new pipeline capacity. This is the greatest expansion of pipelines that we have seen in decades. Alberta will double our oil and gas production by 2035. Reaching 8 million barrels per day. Oh yeah, to meet that demand. But look, that's just the energy story. Thanks to the removal of the net zero power regulations, Alberta's about to see an equally impressive expansion to our electricity grid. This will create a rush of new consumer generation and data centers that will build their own power generation so that electricity is more stable and more affordable than ever before. And then, of course, there's the billions more in investment in agriculture, technology, critical minerals, defense, manufacturing, and a host of other sectors that will employ and enrich the lives of countless Albertans. We are winning, my friends, and that is why Albertans who may have lost faith in our country over these past 10 years can have hope that Canada can become one of the most prosperous nations on earth once again. We must not risk this progress or walk away from these unprecedented opportunities just as the tide has finally turned in our favor and our fellow Canadians are supporting Alberta's vision for a prosperous, energy-rich nation with strong provinces, building a Canada that we can be proud of again. Now, I still believe Canada can work. I believe it's working better every day, and it can work even better in the future if we keep fighting together for it. Our federal politicians may stray away from our foundational values from time to time, but our fellow Canadians, they are our neighbors, our friends, our family. We all know our family has a few bad habits to break from the past decade, and we are working on them, and we'll get there. But there's still more work to do to make Alberta stronger and more sovereign within a united Canada. So, for that group of folks, those of you who want to send a strong message to Ottawa, there is another way to do it. That is why I'm asking everyone here tonight to vote to remain and then vote yes to the other 9 referendum questions on the October 19th ballot. Together, those questions send a very clear message that Albertans expect fairness and respect and a stronger voice within Canada. For example, let's assert our province's constitutional authority over immigration and put Alberta workers first. Economic migration will always be essential to our success, but the Liberals' open border policies went too far. We simply can't keep up with unchecked population growth, while Alberta taxpayers shoulder more than $1 billion each year in social program costs for temporary workers and temporary residents. It's not fair to Albertans, many of whom came here from other countries, worked hard, and committed themselves to being long-term tax-paying citizens or permanent residents. Let's also start reforming the broken institutions in this country. No more unelected Senate with Trudeau-appointed senators advocating against the interests of their home province. No more judges on Alberta's highest courts handpicked by Ottawa politicians without consulting the provincial government elected to represent Albertans. No more using financial strings to force federal intrusion into Alberta's areas of provincial jurisdiction. And when federal and provincial laws do come into conflict, Alberta laws should take priority on things like property rights, for example, and fighting back against the inexcusable gun grab that punishes law-abiding firearms owners instead of targeting thugs and criminals. These are all issues we can start fixing if you give me a strong mandate through the October 19th referendum to do so. This is the pathway to a more sovereign Alberta within a united Canada. And we will continue to push for meaningful change from Ottawa, stand up for Alberta's interests, and work with our Western partners to build the economic corridors, major projects, and trade infrastructure our province needs to thrive. Now, before I end, I do want to say this. I love this city. I do. This is where I was born, where I grew up, where I got my start as a conservative at the University of Calgary, and where I hosted a local radio program talking about the issues that matter most to Albertans. In many ways, this city is the heart of Alberta's economy and culture, and this city will likely decide the next election. Alberta is booming, but this success did not happen by accident. The path forward is what we are building right now. And while polling today may show the UCP is strong in Calgary and across Alberta, we will not take anything for granted, because Calgary will once again be the battleground. And if we want to keep Alberta strong and free, we all have a role to play. So if you can get involved, get involved. Come to the AGM. Knock on doors, make phone calls, build signs, share our message with your friends and neighbors, because we have a great story to tell. A stronger Calgary, a stronger Alberta, and a united Canada where Alberta is forever strong and free.
Still better love me, and I can be late for a date, that's fine, but you better be on time.
All right, let's give another hand for our Premier, our leader, the Honorable Danielle Smith. All right, everybody, we're going to go into a bit of a Q&A, and somebody can guide me towards the first question. That Minister Mickey Amery, where are you, sir? Right behind, there you are, my friend. All right.
Our Justice Minister, I can tell you,
That's right.
I thought I was going to get a lot of questions in the Bear Pit session at the last AGM, but I think Mickey Amery took like 90% of them. He's got some excellent initiatives he's working on, and there's so much more.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Mickey.
Good evening, Premier. I have here with me Ruby, and our first question is coming from Ruby Grimberg. Ruby is here on behalf of all young, dynamic conservatives. And she's got a question about what her future looks like here in Alberta. Ruby, take it away.
First of all, thank you so much, Premier Smith. It's so nice to hear you speak.
Hi, Ruby.
Hi. So my question for you is, if you were a young adult, that's not to say that you're not very young, of course, and you were freshly graduating in this economy, what would your concern be? What would your biggest concern be? And what would you tell someone who's in this position about what their future can really look like here in Alberta?
Yeah, you sound like you might be concerned about something in particular. Are you? Is there something that's on your mind?
Well, under your leadership, there's no too big concern on my books, but I can speak definitely for some young individuals that are in a similar position to me, that are freshly graduating and finding it pretty difficult to just find a job in this economy and a place to live, because Canada can be pretty challenging right now.
Thanks for all of that. I can tell you that one of the things that keep us up at night, and Joseph Scow is our Jobs, Economy, Trade and Immigration Minister, is the very high level of youth unemployment. We're accustomed to having a level of about 11%. There's always a little bit higher because young people like Ruby are in school, but we got the results out today, and it's 15%. And so we've been spending a lot of time trying to encourage our business community to give young people a chance. As I say, if you don't get your first job, you might not get your second job or your third job. And so we've really begun to see that the business community is responding. Part of the issue was that a lot of those entry-level first jobs in the fast food industry and other low-wage jobs, they were filled with those who were coming in on a temporary status. We're now finally seeing that readjustment. I see that Dunkin' Donuts and Tim Hortons have finally are going back to local hiring, and that's the beginning, is that you need to be able to have those jobs so that you can build up your resume. We also, though, I've never been more excited than I have recently about the diversification of our economy. I think Peter Lougheed always had this great vision that we would be a fully diversified economy. And there's a couple stats I'd share with you. Back in 2024, when we started seeing our peak again in oil and gas employment, we were up to about 154,000 direct jobs in that industry. At the same time, we were over 190,000 jobs in technology, and we were over 190,000 jobs as well as in tourism. So that says to me that there is a huge opportunity across a whole range of different industries. We've got more venture capital pouring into this province than ever before, about $700 million a year, massive new investments that have resulted in unicorns, I guess they call them, so that they can continue to help pay it forward and nurture some of these young tech companies coming up. Our agri-food processing tax credit brought in another $4.5 billion over the last few years. We've got new green technologies, whether it's ever technologies that is advancing geothermal, or whether it's E3 lithium. We've got huge opportunities there. And now that finally our federal government is going to be meeting its NATO commitment of going up to 5%, we're going to benefit from that here. It's about time, isn't it? Cold Lake, Wainwright, Suffield, and Edmonton, we are going to see a massive investment in all of the industries that are going to be around that, whether it's drone technology or space technology or any of the other amazing technologies. So I could go on, because it just seems to me that no matter where you look, no matter what industry, there's opportunity. We've also done a lot, and I know Miles McDougall is here as well, to make sure that we are supporting kids in the programs that are going to lead to a job pathway. And we are about to face a construction boom. So any kind of those hands-on practical type of jobs, we've seen a massive increase in the number of apprenticeships, number of kids who want to do tool credit, number of kids who are invested in the registered apprenticeship program. So it really seems to me the sky's the limit. And one of the things that we have on offer here is 6 of the 10 most affordable housing markets in the entire country. And so you actually aspirationally can own a house when you get one of those good jobs. So there's lots to be optimistic about, Ruby. I know we had a tough 10 years. We're turning the corner on so many things. A little bit more work to do to make sure that youth unemployment comes up. But I think that the opportunity is going to be immense. Thanks for your question.
Thanks very much, Ruby. I got to give a plug to my Alberta Sheriffs. They're hiring too.
Oh, the Alberta Sheriffs. No kidding. Yeah.
That's right. Anyway, thanks, Ruby, and thanks, Minister Amory. Next question, we're going to go to MLA Eric Bouchard. Eric, Calgary Law, he's over at the back here. All right, other side.
Eric Bouchard is one of the most staunch voices for the small business community. He came from a small business background himself, and if you watch him in question period and his member statements, he does such an amazing job of advancing the interests of small business. So thanks for that, Eric.
Thank you, Premier, and hello, Premier and Minister Ellis. We have with me Steve Allen, who has a question for you.
Thank you, Eric. Premier, you and I have chatted about this from time to time in the past, but the government is addressing significant infrastructure challenges and deficits in education and healthcare, which you've spoken about tonight. But there is a major infrastructure deficit for sports and physical activity facilities, from community-level facilities to high-performance and professional sports facilities, certainly in Calgary and I suspect throughout the province. We have a young, active, dynamic population in Alberta, and I believe there's a great opportunity for the province to work with the sport community to develop a sports infrastructure strategy that would also link sports and physical activity to wellness, thus reducing healthcare costs in the longer term. Does the UCP have any plans to develop such a strategy?
Well, Steve Allen is always one step ahead of me. Last time I remember a question he asked me at a forum, it was, are you going to invest in arts and culture infrastructure? Because we need those investments. And as you can see, we put Tanya Fair at the head of the arts and culture portfolio, and she's done a tremendous job identifying all of the infrastructure that we need to support that incredible community. In addition, we've just moved the film and television tax credit over to her portfolio as well. So all of our budding filmmakers have an opportunity to benefit from that also. So I see that Steve sees we've done such a good job on that first thing he raised, that he's moved on to the next important issue, which is tourism and which is sport. And I can tell you that this is something that we recognized in putting tourism and sport together. We did that mindfully because sport drives a lot of tourism. When I go around the world and I ask people what they've heard about our province, you know what they tell me? The '88 Olympics and the Calgary Stampede. Those are sporting events that have put us on the map on the international stage. And what's going to be coming up? World Juniors. Those will be in Edmonton and in Red Deer. And then, of course, the World Cup of Hockey, which is the second biggest ice hockey sporting event coming here in 2028 and shared between Calgary and Edmonton. You don't normally get the Oilers and Flames cooperating on much, but, you know, I was glad to see that they cooperated on that. But you know what we've also seen over the last 3.5 years is the number of events. Almost every weekend, I'm hearing that the hotels are filled because of a national volleyball championship or a national basketball championship, or there's curling or lacrosse. So this really drives tourism. I think that Steve mentioned about how it can drive wellness, and he's absolutely right on that. But what you'll see that we're doing is we're trying to keep between Calgary and Edmonton these large infrastructure investments so that we've got 2 world-class arenas that not only host sporting events but also concert events. I know that Stampede is now talking about a new home for the Calgary Stampeders. I think that's going to be amazing. I'm sure I'm going to get an ask from Edmonton about a new home for the Elks as well. We absolutely need to keep on investing in our winter sport training infrastructure. I know that the Olympic Oval is in pretty bad shape, and I think we probably need to work with our federal government and our municipal government to upgrade that facility. We need field houses in both Calgary as well as in Edmonton and elsewhere. So on the big infrastructure projects, I think that Calgary has already asserted that it is a Winter Olympics training center, and we don't want to lose that. We want to keep those athletes here. But on another level, how do we get kids in that pipeline? And if you look at Norway and the number of Olympic medals that they won, I've been scratching my head thinking, how can we do the same thing here? How can we match that? And part of it is creating that pipeline and that culture for kids to get involved in sport. We've got Every Kid Can Play is one of the things that we support so that young people have access, even if they might not have the means, in order to participate in sports. But there's a proposal that was advanced to me by the Ward 14 council member, Landon Johnson. He looked around Calgary and he said, there's all of these green spaces that have been set aside decades and decades ago for schools that will never be built. Do you think we can find a way to repurpose some of these sites so that we can build things like lacrosse fields or cricket fields or soccer fields or field houses or arenas? And that's something I've asked Dan Williams to take a look at, because I think that especially in this room, there are so many generous philanthropists who remember what it was like, as I did when I was a kid. I could walk to the local outdoor swimming pool, the local outdoor hockey rink. There was an indoor hockey rink where I burned my tongue a lot of times watching my brothers play hockey. And just down the street, a few blocks, there was an indoor pool. And every kid should be able to grow up with that kind of accessibility. So I want to work with the City of Calgary to be able to do that. And yes, I know that's not the last time I'm going to be asked that question by Steve. Thank you so much for raising it tonight.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for the question. We'll next go to Minister McDougall. Where are you, Minister? Behind me. Oh, there we are, right there. Premier, right behind the Alberta flag.
Oh, over here. And of course, Miles McDougall, our Advanced Education Minister. He's got quite a challenge ahead of him, because I think every single one of our community colleges and universities are oversubscribed for kids wanting to go into some of those fantastic programs. So thank you so much for the work that you're doing there, trying to meet that demand. Over to you, Miles.
Thank you. And we have a question from Chris Davis. Chris, go ahead.
Thanks, Minister. Thanks, Premier. In the last election, Calgary ended up getting 12 out of 26 seats Conservative. It was a drop of 11.
Yeah.
I heard rumor before the election that we were prepared to accept 7 seats in Calgary if it got us across the finish line. But I don't think Peter Lougheed ever ran without saying, I want to win every seat in Alberta. And I know that's what you want to win, but how can we do better in Calgary next year in the election? Because I think we really need to up our game, and we need to appeal not just to rural Alberta, but we've got to appeal to the urban sector as well. So,
Yeah.
Premier, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks for that, Chris. Peter Lougheed was a legend. Didn't he win 75 of 77 seats in one of his legislatures? It's amazing. I think the only one who's managed to get a cleared run was Frank McKenna in New Brunswick. I think he got all 53 seats in his legislature at one point. Look, I mean, you have to remember where we were at around this time in the last election cycle. And the NDP had been polling ahead of us sometimes 20 percentage points ahead of us. When we had the contested leadership race, we had so many fantastic candidates, and we got up to about even by the time the leadership was over. But all the way, even for the first 2 weeks of the campaign, we were running behind the NDP. That is how close things were. And it was great candidates. Thank you, Chris, for putting your name forward last time. Great candidates on the doors, working every single day that managed to turn that tide and get us over. And so I think that we have in the last 3 years demonstrated, I think, to Calgary and to Edmonton, that we care about the priorities of what is happening in these communities. Our two major centers, they are draws for people from around the world. They are draws for tourism. They are draw for investment, and we've got to make sure that they're supported. Calgary and Edmonton need to, they have different priorities. They have different things that they need because they're such large city centers. And so that's why I talked about some of the things that I did today, but the investments in healthcare and education, I hear that an awful lot. You probably saw that our passenger rail plan came out today, and so we are, darn it, going to get that rail built to the airport, both here and in Edmonton, and I'd love to see. Can you imagine how different it would be if we had a high-speed rail between Calgary and Edmonton, and you could zip up to Edmonton in an hour and then come back down at the end of the day? It's absolutely transformative. So those are the kind of things that I hear Albertans and Calgarians in particular want us to think big about a vision for their city, and I hope we're doing that. So that's one thing. And if there's anything you think I missed in my speech, by all means, let me know. I'll take your advice and see if there's anything more I need to add. But one of the other things that I discovered that we've taken a close look at the ridings that we either just barely won or just barely lost. And I think there's about 12 of them. And it's less than 500 votes. So when you think about that, we've got 2,000 people in this room, right? And so I've started doing coffee parties. Some of them I thought they were going to start small, and they ended up big. We went to one coffee party that had 300 women at it this past week. Jason Nixon and I did a fundraiser that I thought started off as being a little small group of 20. It turned into over 50. And we're asking at every one of those, if you want us to meet your friends and neighbors and help to make the case for why they should vote for UCP, we're prepared to do that. I know that there's a few women in the room who I got some events lined up with, because the only way that we're going to win those seats back is by talking to the people who weren't with us last time and understanding why they weren't with us last time and addressing their concerns, and then helping them to see that we're not the way that we're often depicted in the mainstream media, and we're not the way that we're often depicted in the union newsletters that go out to a lot of the nurses and the teachers. And if they can see the things that they don't read about in the mainstream media, I think that we're going to win them over one by one by one. So I'm prepared to do about 1,000 of those coffee parties between now and Election Day. And so my staff is going to be pretty busy now, now that I've made that commitment. If you want to host something like that for your book club, or the parents that are on your kids' soccer team, or the teachers in the neighborhood, or the nurses in the neighborhood, just know, like, we're prepared to do that, because we think that that's the only way that we're going to be able to let people know what our true agenda is and what our true record of success is. So thanks, Chris, for the work you're doing. Look forward to having a coffee party at your place.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate that. We'll go to our good friend, Minister Mohammed Yassin. Minister Yassin, behind us here. Okay.
And let me just say, Mohammed Yassin, our Associate Minister of Multiculturalism, he has the absolute biggest heart on settlement services. Two of his favorite events of the year is our incredible Fairness for Newcomers conference, which he hosts every year. I think we had it was a massive full room, 600 or 700 people there this year. And then his Immigrant Impact Awards, and the way he honors those who have come to this province, whether it's 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, and the impact they've made. Mohammed has been an absolute champion in that. So thanks for the work you're doing, Mohammed.
Well, thank you very much, Premier. I have with me Tim Hag, who has a question on the timely completion of pipelines involving MOU and federal legislation.
Sure.
So I will let him ask that question.
Good evening, Madam Premier. Thank you for everything you do for us. I have no idea where you get the energy to spend the hours you do, so thank you very much.
My pleasure.
My question involves the utilization of legislation by the federal government designating new pipelines under the Memorandum of Understanding
Yeah.
as being projects in the national interest. Do you view the passage of this federal legislation as being a necessary precondition to the success in moving those projects forward?
I look at it as, thanks for the question, I look at it as a second best option. I think all of us in this room know that if Pierre Poilievre had won, like we'd probably already be halfway built a pipeline by now, because he would have gotten rid of all those terrible laws and wouldn't have made us jump through any hoops on the regulatory front to convince the federal government that we needed to get our product to market. And that's foundationally what we need, is we need to have all of those bad laws changed. What the Major Projects Act are that Tim was referring to, it was Bill C-5, and that's a workaround. It's saying, given that we have all these agencies who can't seem to get their act together, let's create this fast-track process so that we can give some certainty to the industries or the projects that manage to get on that list. So it is a second best option, but I can assure you, we're going to use it to full advantage. We are going to get our proposal in by July the 1st. We are going to get a conditional approval according to our MOU by October 1st, and we are going to be in a position, having worked through the process, by September of 2027 to get shovels in the ground to get that pipeline built. We'll test the process out, and in that, we will find all of the ways in which the legislation needs to be changed so that every project of merit can go ahead, and we don't have to go through this convoluted process of trying to convince the federal government or the bureaucracy at the federal level that we have to advance these projects. So I look at it as a sort of a necessary second best option. And I guess we're going to take it for a test run, and you can ask me this time next year whether or not I feel that the process has been worth it. But I think that we all know that the better process would be to just get rid of those bad laws altogether.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for the question. We're going to go to Minister Tanya Furr, who's just over here right behind us. There we go. Go ahead.
Awesome. I've already bragged about Tanya Furr. Arts, culture, status of women. She's doing such amazing work. I think if you've been to any of the big celebrations around town, I'm sure that you've seen her there, because she's a very, very hardworking minister at MLA, and also leading our 10-year strategy to end domestic violence. So thank you so much for the hard work you're doing on that too. We sure appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Premier, and thank you, Deputy Premier Ellis. I have Riley with me, and Riley has a question for you, Premier.
Premier, Mark Carney has led our country officially into a recession. Yeah. I'm very worried about where the economy is going. What will you do if things get worse?
Yeah, I can. Those headline numbers worry all of us, especially with the uncertainty with the United States and tariff uncertainty. We don't have certainty around the Canada-U.S. Mexico agreement, but I can tell you that Alberta seems to be a bit of an island in a sea of uncertainty right now. I mentioned all of the major projects that are going ahead. Those will create jobs, those will generate revenue, those will allow us to be able to support the programs that people rely on. But in addition, just looking at the numbers, so once again, we, month over month, created new jobs. We have created 291,000 jobs since we came out of COVID in October 2022. And even just in this last year, if you look year over year, Alberta has created 104,000 jobs. The entire rest of the country has created 43,000. This is an economy that is an incredibly powerful job creator. And it's because of the policies we've put in place. We've got the lowest corporate income tax. We've got a low tax environment. Dale Nally, he has never seen a regulation he doesn't want to cut. He is massively going through, isn't it the truth, red tape reduction. And all of that makes an absolute difference. So we're going to continue to lead the country on that. And with any good fortune, we will get a continuation of the Canada-U.S.-Mexico trade agreement, and we'll put that uncertainty to rest. But I must say, the other thing that we're experiencing is that we all discovered 18 months ago, when our relationship with the Americans became uncertain, that, to quote Pierre Poilievre, our best trading partner should be ourselves. We should be working to trade with each other, to work together to get our products to market. And and most of the premiers are doing that. I've signed agreements with Saskatchewan and Manitoba and Ontario. We've got Scott Moe and Doug Ford and R.J. Simpson from the Northwest Territories all coming into our province in the next short while. We're hosting the Pacific Northwest region and a number of different legislators from the United States. With the Global Petroleum Show, we've got people coming from around the world who want to invest in our province and co-invest as well in our energy sector. And so we're taking the effort to make sure that we're showcasing ourselves to the world. People are paying attention. And I can tell you there is a business case to export oil and natural gas, and don't we know it, because everybody is coming knocking our door saying that you can help. So I think that that's something that we should take some heart in, that even with all of the barriers that the federal government put in the way, we still were able to find a way to create jobs. And now that we finally have a federal government that seems to be willing to work with us, I think we're only going to continue to lead. So I hope that gives you some certainty. There's always these periods of time where we end up either stalling or moving backwards, but we are really set to just skyrocket. And I think we've got all the fundamentals in place. So thanks for your question.
Thanks, Rory. Thanks, Minister. All right, last question from the audience here. Minister Sawney.
Minister Sawney.
Minister Sawney.
I can't even list all of the different ministries that Minister Sawney has had. She's been our transportation minister. She's been our advanced education minister. She is now our Indigenous relations minister. And the work that she's already done on the ground, we had to give her a second DM because she's got all of the relationships to manage in Alberta, but also new relationships to manage across the country. And I can tell you, finding the pathway and getting Indigenous cooperation is a lot of hard work, and she's put in the hours and the time on the ground. And if we get that one built, it'll be a lot to her credit. So thank you, Minister Sawney, for the work that you're doing.
Thank you, Premier, for your kind words. And I have standing next to me Mr. Bill Brown, and he has a question for you.
Thank you. First of all, thank you, Premier, as everybody in the room. Your work is incredible, and I don't know where you get the energy. So thank you for all you do.
Thanks, Bill.
Watching the two provinces, Saskatchewan, I think you just read my mind partially, Saskatchewan and Alberta, the people and the governments are so similar, and the economies are so similar. Are there plans, or there must be a huge advantage to, I'm surprised you don't hear more of the provinces working together for what they believe in with the conservative values and whatnot. Do you see going forward more collaboration between Saskatchewan, and not just the governments, but the people also? Because I think we all have similar ideals and ideas for what needs to be done.
Yeah, it's so, I mean, Scott Moe, it won't surprise you, is one of my closest friends at the Council of the Federation Premier's table. In fact, we're constantly texting each other during meetings as we collaborate on advancing some of our issues at the Premier's table. And I can tell you that part of the reason why the Western Premiers is so successful is his steady leadership. He has been at the helm of Saskatchewan as Premier since 2018, and we are constantly looking for him to say, why was it done this way? What were some of the problems we were trying to overcome? And he's been an incredible mentor to all of us as we've gone on over the last number of years. And he is also, I think, equally surprised at how things have turned in the last 18 months. When you look at his province, my goodness, talk about a province on the boom. There's a little healthy cooperation that happens between our premiers. And when you look at Saskatchewan, they are at 5% unemployment rate, I think. We're still at stubbornly high at 6.5%. They've just signed major deals for uranium around the world that is going to fuel the new nuclear boom, billions of dollars to that province. I always thought and also potash as well. Like, that's another massive new export area for them. I did tell Scott, I found it kind of funny because I took the Canadian across the country once. And you go potash mine, potash mine, potash mine, and then you hit the Manitoba border, and there's nothing. And then I said to him, it's sort of a strange thing too. You've got all the uranium, and then you get to the Alberta border and there's nothing. And he kind of admitted to me, you can do directional drilling in both directions. So I think he's taking us helping Manitoba out with their potash and helping us out in developing our uranium. But I don't begrudge him that at all, because he's done tremendous work there. He's also helped to pave the way for us opening up new markets in no small way. I mean, the fact that we have incredible export opportunity into India has a lot to do with the trade missions that he's gone on there. He was the first politician to break the ice with China and get our canola and our beef moving back into that market again. He has a trade office in the United Arab Emirates, and it's been so successful. I went there the first time, and there was something like 150 Saskatchewan businesses that were there. And I said, jeepers, we better get here too. And so we've set up a companion office in Abu Dhabi. So you may not see all of that, but I feel like I spend an awful lot of time with the premiers. He's certainly one of my favorite. We also try to swap good ideas. So we were kind of competing for a little while there about who could pass the most aggressive firearms legislation to protect our gun owners. I think we ended up winning on that one, by the way. There's probably a little bit more work to do, but he's absolutely a fantastic friend and ally to our province. And if I don't talk about him enough, I promise you I will, because he'll be here over the Stampede, and I think we could do some more tremendous work together. Thanks for your question, Bill.
All right, thank you very much, and thank you, Premier. All right, before we get into a rapid-fire bunch of questions, which I have in my pocket, we're here, of course, at the BMO, largest dinner that we have ever had, but it's, of course, not the largest gathering, of course, Conservatives that we will have this year. So because in November, we're going to be gathering right here at the UCP AGM. Premier, I just want to give you an opportunity to talk about this great AGM coming.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. So you probably have seen on your table, there's a card that has a QR code. We've just opened up the early bird registration. So for the low, low price of $139, you can sign up and get your AGM ticket tonight. And I hope you do, because we have had over 4,000 people, I think, come to our past two AGMs, one in Red Deer, one in Edmonton. I think we could make this the biggest gathering of Conservatives in the entire country ever. And so I would encourage you to do that. And there's going to be lots of reasons to be there. We've got vacancies coming up on the board of directors, so there's an opportunity to put your name forward to be on the board or to support a candidate. We are going to be passing policy as well as bylaws, and we're doing an awful lot of preparation for the upcoming election. So think of it this way. This will be the last time we are able to get together as a group before the 2027 election. And so this will be the time for you to come out, make sure that you're getting trained up, meeting fellow Conservatives, talking and sharing ideas about how we can win more seats back in Calgary. And I would strongly encourage you, if you can, to make it out. You've already demonstrated your support by being here this evening. And it's going to be on November 28th, 29th weekend, I think. We'd love to see you all there. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. All right. So not only is she the best premier in Canada, but she's a human being. And we want to get to know her better. So I have a rapid-fire series of questions, no different than what you would see on any other talk show. And I'm going to just give you a couple options, Premier, and you choose what you like the best. All right. First question, coffee or tea?
Oh, coffee.
There we go. Hey. Old cop in me, of course, I'll take coffee anytime.
Although I am now I'm a little older now, as Ruth pointed out, so it's half decaf, half regular coffee.
All right, next up, red wine or white wine?
White. Pinot Grigio. I find Sauvignon Blanc a little too tart, so Pinot Grigio is the wine.
Now, we are in Alberta, so mountains or prairies?
Say that again?
Mountains or prairies?
Oh, come on. You're going to make me choose?
I don't know. I'm going to make Erin, because she's not staring at me at the moment. She wrote this.
Foothills.
Foothills. There we go. I think I know the answer to this one, but steak or sushi?
What's the first one?
Steak or sushi?
Oh, steak.
We're in Alberta.
Absolutely.
Right?
And just for the record, a beautiful rib steak. One of those nice, beautiful rib cuts. Those are delicious.
All right, let's go to this one here. Sweet or savory?
Savory.
All right. suits or sweatpants?
Okay, here's the little secret.
Don't tell anybody.
Sophie Grace realized that we were all wearing yoga pants for 2 years, so they created beautiful suits out of pant material. So that's what I would say, suits, as long as they're Sophie
All
Grace
right.
suits.
Okay, how about this one? Reality TV or documentary?
Documentaries, yeah.
There we go.
I just can't watch some of those,
I know.
fighting reality TV.
I get it.
It gives me anxiety.
I'll
Getting voted
also
off
watch
the island.
Cops. Okay, lake or ocean?
Ooh, probably a lake.
Okay, yeah, lake. We're in Alberta, right? Listen to a podcast or read a book?
Let's do a podcast. Yeah,
Deal.
these days.
All right.
Don't get
All right.
much time to read.
I know any one of our MLAs has probably had a discussion with you on this. So, economic or social policy?
Economic policy.
All right.
Yeah, I'm kind of wonky that way.
All right. Oh, this is an interesting one. Ralph Klein for mayor or Ralph Klein as premier?
Oh, you're hurting me on this one. He did so many great things at both levels. Okay, both.
Both.
Got a
all right.
lifeline out
All right.
there.
All right. Deal.
Totally.
Oh my goodness, this one here. Ready for this, everybody?
What's that?
Katy Perry or Justin Trudeau?
That one's a neither, right?
You can't choose both.
Ah. Okay.
Go neither.
Okay, I'm hearing popular opinion from the crowd is neither. Although, if I had to choose one, I'd choose Katy Perry because she's at least got some talent.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's why she's the best. All right, Reagan, I'm assuming President Reagan or Margaret Thatcher?
Oh my gosh, you're killing me. That is another both. I would probably go for Thatcher. Thatcher wrote 2 fantastic autobiographies that I've read twice, so I'd probably go for Thatcher. I just know a little bit more about her record.
Well, I already said you're Alberta's Iron Lady.
Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome. Oh, okay, here's a different one. Okay, oh my goodness. You want me to read this, Aaron? All right. All right, tofu burgers with Trudeau or avocado toast with Eby?
That one isn't that hard because I love avocado toast. And I got lots of issues I need to resolve with Evie, so we can do that over avocado toast.
All right, all right. Let's go back to something my son would love here. McDonald's or Wendy's?
McDonald's.
Oh, there you go. I'm with you on that.
You know when I worked at McDonald's, time to lean, time to clean. That was my my first job. So I think it's so important for young people to get their start.
I agree. Okay, camping or glamping?
Glamping, although I haven't done it, but I like the idea of it.
All right, next up, cowboy boots or stilettos?
Oh, cowboy boots. Is that even a choice? Why would anyone choose stilettos?
I don't know.
Who would choose stilettos?
I'm looking at your staff again.
Totally cowboy boots.
She's shaking her head.
We did actually get a nice pair of boots for each of the Western premiers.
I know, they were lovely.
here. They were
Yeah,
fantastic.
they were great. Yep.
Some of them had never owned a pair of boots. I can't even imagine that. Like, you can't grow up in Calgary and not own a pair of boots. I can't imagine that you'd be able to get through life without a few pair.
Yeah, good pair of boots and a cowboy hat, right?
That's right.
All right. Android or iPhone?
iPhone. Yeah.
I know. I agree.
Totally.
Right?
Although I loved BlackBerry. If only we could get that. Only we could get that keypad back. I still can't. Honestly, I still can't type on an iPhone.
I still miss the BlackBerry too. I agree.
Honestly, the BlackBerry was awesome.
That's right.
Keypad.
Okay, 3 more. Shopping online or shopping in a store?
Neither? Oh, I hate shopping.
What about David?
David hates shopping too.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd rather go for dinner than go shopping. But.
All right, so we have kind of neither. Okay. All right, skiing or snowboarding?
Oh boy, neither. Sorry. I went to, okay, so you want to know how old I am? The last time I went skiing was at Pascapoo. So That's how old I am and how long ago it was that I was skiing. And I've never tried snowboarding. And I've been told on good authority, at my age, you shouldn't try snowboarding. So
Yeah, I know the feeling. All right, here's the last one here.
Last one.
All right. Question period or happy hour?
Is this a trick question? Definitely happy hour.
All right, deal. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give another round of applause for our Premier, Honorable Premier Danielle Smith.
You know what? And let's also give a round of applause to our Deputy Premier, our Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Services. Every time we enter into hazard season, he has to be on standby because there's a flood, there's a fire, there's a tornado. He has to be ready at a moment's notice to call together our emergency cabinet committee. And he's doing a tremendous job of adding to our public safety by making sure that our sheriffs are trained up as police so that they can integrate across the entire province. And I'm looking forward to seeing that roll out. But he's doing great work for us and did great work tonight. So give him a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you.
Am I out of here?
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We're wrapping up this evening. I know it says Rob Smith. Rob couldn't be here this evening. So I just want to say thank you again to the Premier. Thank you to all of you for coming out here. And you know what? In November of this year, we are going to make this the biggest AGM in Canadian history. So thank you very much, everybody, and God bless.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thanks, friend.